This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hello, everybody. It is the After Party Live. Thank you for your patience in waiting. It is all a bit of a blur because Mark and I are going on vacation at the same time, and he's kind of stressed out about it. So he wants to just make sure everything's going to be okay when both of us are gone at the same time. I think it'll be fine. But, at least one of us is worried about it. So that's good. Yvonne, hello, Kim. We're voting today. Vote more. Isn't that the craziest thing? Teacher Lori was right. Boy, that other fella's voters rallied at the end. But you know what? I have to tell you, when I saw that we were in second place, I thought that's still pretty great. I mean, it'd be nice to win, and I was glad because I thought the voting was over at midnight. So it's nice to see that they are still taking votes, so there's still a shot for us. But really, overall, I feel like I'm so proud of this group that has just been voting nonstop. We cracked 50,000 votes. That's amazing for us. I mean, wow, who knew? Maybe with the mention from Mark there at the end, I think that he mentioned it at the beginning too. Maybe we'll pull it out, but it's okay if we don't. It's all right. I'm just really excited. But if you can vote, please do so. It is the last day of voting, and I'm not sure when they're going to turn it off. The voting, that is. So I think as of now, you can still vote, and I will put the link in the chat at this time, just in case you need it. I don't know if you need it anymore, but I think we all know it by now, right? Over and over and over again, I put this thing in here. Oh, where everything went. Okay, here it is. Sorry, all my screens are stacking up on each other. But here is the link. There it is. I'm voting right now, says Judy. Excellent. I put the link in again. They were wrong to say voting was over last night. So bad. Yeah, I saw the message that voting was over. I thought it was done. I thought that was it. And then all of a sudden, I just logged in this morning just to double check it, and they're taking votes again. So I don't know. And I don't even know when the voting ends either. Yeah, not sure. I saw that. So Heather went to Squire Boone Caves. I hope it's okay if I show a picture from her Facebook page. Check this out. She went to a cave for hide in your cave. Well, I think she went on Tuesday, but that's okay. Look at the picture that she put up of this cave. How cool is that? And the cave formations she saw. Okay, I'll take it down because I don't know if I'm allowed to show Heather's Facebook page, but that's awesome. I'm sure she won't care if I showed the I showed the caves. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe the Mark Thompson show will help, but he was being a little rough on you, says Yvonne. That might turn some people off. I was not happy with Mr. Mark. He's joking with it's like with a little bit of seriousness behind it, but mostly he's joking. So it's okay, and it's all in fun. Keep voting. Burby Island is tomorrow with Kim and I. Yeah, Glenn will be here tomorrow. He's going to put the drone up, take some live footage, and show us what it looks like there in Australia on the island. I don't want to say it wrong. Is it Burby Island or Barbie Island? Anyway, I'm excited to see what it looks like with the drone. And Glenn has this system concocted where we're going to be able to see it live right from the drone screen. So I think it should work. I'll vote on my phone, says Yvonne, while watching on my iPad. Be at the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame. Said it was through today, July 1st. All right. Is there trivia tomorrow? Yeah, I think there should be trivia tomorrow. We'll do some drone footage. We'll do some trivia. We should have it all. Bribey, he says. Bribey. Okay, thank you. Bribey Island. Judy has 10 more votes in. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's incredible. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see where we are right now. I was going to show you, then I got sidetracked by Heather's really cool cave pictures. This is what happens to me. Ooh, something shiny, right? But here we are. So here's the audio caster of the year. Of course, you have to vote in order to get to the page that tells you what the current vote is. And as of right now, Danny Wright, 52,563 votes. To the After Party Live, 52,412 votes. So it's almost 150 votes away. That's super close. It's 35% to 35%. So it's really close. Hopefully we can pull it out, but like I said, if we don't manage to do it, it's okay. We're gonna make it through. And second place for this little podcast, that's pretty good. I'm pretty proud. All right, we'll move forward because I thought this story was really interesting. There is a study that indicates that giraffes are mathematically inclined. I don't know exactly how this works, but apparently, yeah, giraffes are smarter maybe than we thought they were. I don't know. So here's the picture. You can see they're kind of giving it treats. Love giraffes. They're so cute. The word is, with this study, that the giraffes may be capable of rudimentary math. Researchers in Barcelona did these experiments with 4 giraffes at the zoo, and they think it shows that giraffes might be capable of basic quantity tracking or simple math. The institutions involved, the University of Barcelona, the University of Leipzig, and the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology. The findings published in the journal Scientific Reports on these 4 giraffes at the Barcelona Zoo. They were presented, these 4 giraffes, with 2 containers that had different amounts of carrot pieces inside. The researchers covered the containers, and the animals watched as the humans either added or subtracted more carrot pieces to them. And then, you can see how they're being selected with the containers here. The researchers say the giraffes selected the containers with more carrot pieces after addition 68% of the time. So they knew which one had more. The researchers said it exceeds the number that could be attributed to random chance. They did further tests controlling for whether the giraffes were using other methods of decision making, like maybe choosing the containers based on whether or not the researchers touched them. Indicated 2 of the giraffes may have been using that method, but 2 others continued to choose the containers with more carrots at the same rate. The results, they say, suggest that these giraffes suggest the potential use of more complex mental computations. Is it a reach? I don't know. The giraffes were less successful in trials where carrots were subtracted from the containers, choosing at a rate consistent with random chance. The researchers said the giraffes are likely not performing math the same way we do, but they do show a basic understanding of numbers that affect their decision making. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just not counting so much as they can see you're adding pieces, so they know a concept of more versus less. Maybe not basic computation, but that's what the researchers say. It indicates they might be capable of rudimentary math. They sure are cute, though. I'll say that. There was a situation. What we have here is a situation where an animal control officer was called out because there was a wayward otter, so they thought. And what the animal officers found instead was that it was not an otter at all. This creature you're seeing on the screen is actually a baby mink. This happened in California. In somebody's front yard, the resident thought, "Oh, that's an otter." Happened in Sonoma County, California, where I sit right now. The officer called out to a home on reports of a found baby otter, but it was actually a baby American mink that had wandered away from its home on a riverbank and was confused when it found itself in a yard with dogs. The baby mink was taken to the Sonoma County Wildlife Rescue. It's being cared for there, and the hope is that they'll be able to return this little one to the wild. Yeah, not an otter, although I can see why someone would think it was an otter. This is a crazy story. I don't know why you would do this or why you would think of this as an avenue of study or scientific research. Sometimes I think it's a reach, but apparently this cockroach diving suit actually works. Kept this cockroach alive underwater for 3 hours. They call it a cyborg cockroach. The hope is, and I think this might be a reach, that this technology could be used in search and rescue operations and in the inspection of pipelines. Researchers at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore 3D printed a flexible diving suit that cockroaches wear, kind of fits them like a backpack. There's a chemical oxygen generator inside of this thing creating oxygen as the bug swims underwater and pumps it through tubes connected to spiracles that the roach uses to breathe. They call it a cyborg roach, and they say it was able to move around and breathe underwater for up to 3 hours. And they think that this could make these cockroaches more viable for longer search and rescue operations. I don't know how that would work out, but they say it's the same principle that could apply to other low oxygen environments like space, which they say also means that cockroach cosmonauts may not be that far fetched. The researchers in Singapore say by fitting the cockroach, which is a terrestrial species, into this diving suit, we allowed it to survive and operate in oxygen deprived environments, transforming it into an amphibious cyborg robot capable of operation across land and water. They published their study on this in the journal Nature Communications. The idea of remote controlled insects, it's been around for a while, more than 10 years. Uh, they think that it could serve some kind of greater purpose. It doesn't need to carry around a large battery. The cyborg roach approach doesn't turn the roach into a zombie kind of thing. The roach has some level of autonomy, so it can traverse obstacles and avoid hazardous debris, but there is a human operator making sure that it stays on a path. And they're excited that this world's first cockroach diving suit actually works. They say they wanted to design a system that was lightweight, didn't require a lot of complicated mechanical parts that could slow the roach down. For the oxygen tank, they used a sponge coated with a catalyst made of manganese dioxide, which can slowly break down when exposed to hydrogen peroxide, which then would create oxygen. And then the oxygen released in a tank flows through these 4 silicone supply tubes that are attached to the roach's spiracles prior to the operation. It's what they did. They said it performed shockingly well, that it was able to successfully traverse every hazard zone it faced, and it did so at speeds only slightly slower than it would have done above ground. With the diving suit on, the researchers say that roaches' survival time in those underwater settings extended from just a few minutes to up to 3 hours. They'd say the roach did get submerged, but it was tested in scenarios with only a few inches of water. So, they have a ways to go. If they continue with this particular area of study, which I just find a little strange. I don't know. Did you know that the labels that we have on food, there's the expiration date, there's the sell by date, there's the best if used by date. And things are changing in this world of whether whether we know whether food should be thrown away or whether it's time to eat it before it expires. Basically, the sell by date, or let me say that again. Yeah, the sell by date is being cut here in California because the thinking is that it causes us confusion. Too many dates. And people are confused as to sell by dates versus expiration dates versus best if used by. So that's why the state is aiming to cut down on the confusion. They think it creates food waste when people throw away food too early. And so there's a new food labeling law that starts today. And it bans the use of sell by labels on food packaging. The sell by date was supposed to be a guide for stores on how long to display products on the shelves. They are not an indicator of whether something is still safe to consume. So now manufacturers selling food in California have to use two standardized labels only. You get a best if used by for peak quality and a use by for product safety. So if you're a stickler, you throw it away if you've passed the best if used by. Otherwise, use by date, if you pass that date, it's a goner. But the sell by date is no more. Nope. The whole point is to reduce food waste and the state's climate warming emissions by doing this. They also passed a similar law in New York, still awaiting the governor's signature. And there are similar laws being proposed in Illinois and Maryland and Massachusetts, New Jersey, South Carolina. So far, none of those states have passed a similar law. But the advocates for doing this say the food labels are the leading cause of household food waste. The sell by date labels have also been a problem for food banks in California because people consider those dates as meaning the food has expired. They say we don't need to build some kind of huge infrastructure and invest tons of money to solve this. We just need companies to use the same words across all the brands. So that's it. Consumers get confused. They default to assuming that whatever date is on the package means don't eat it, throw it away. Not anymore. No more sell by date. And the problem is that stores use those to know when they needed to take things off the shelves. There's a spokesperson for the California Grocers Association saying some grocers now have to overhaul their labeling systems, but overall, not that big of a deal. They just have to pay attention. Yeah. This is kind of a yucky story. And not really a surprise, I think. There's this game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Does anybody play that, Yu-Gi-Oh? It looks like it's a game for young men. At least that's the majority of people in the photo playing this game are young men. And sometimes I think you have a group that gets so into gaming, whatever it may be, that maybe, they play it for hours on end and perhaps they can tend to ignore personal hygiene. There was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament that had to be suspended in Oregon because of hygiene complaints. They suspended play at the tournament for 1 week. Chronos Games and Gifts in Beaverton, Oregon had to announce on their Discord server that no Yu-Gi-Oh events would take place for 1 week. They said, "We regret to inform you there will be a 1-week suspension of local events because we had issues with people mistreating the restrooms and multiple bad reviews because of poor hygiene. As a reminder," they say, "we encourage players to follow Konami guidelines and report anyone who does not." The company behind the trading card game actually had to issue official tournament guidelines addressing the subject of hygiene. They say neglecting to wash or put on clean clothes contributes to an unpleasant atmosphere at the event. Duelists who neglect self-care to the point that they are negatively impacting the tournament may be asked to correct the issue in order to be able to continue in the event. Sorry, you can't play. You smell so bad, you're disturbing the other duelists. Yikes. Furthering the stereotype. Man, they found something in Mexico. And I think it's kind of interesting. It's called a stela, so it's carvings on a rock. And it's hard to see in this picture exactly what it is. I have another photo I'll show you in a second. But it's an ancient monolith that archaeologists think depicts people receiving some kind of divine liquid in some kind of ritual. It was found with a large decorated platform in the state of Veracruz. So there's what it looks like. It was actually found upside down. So that part with the carving or the drawing was face down in the dirt. But they made a drawing of the drawing so you can kind of see it a little better. And you can see this dripping down of something that two people are partaking of, or at least have their hands out so it looks like they're partaking of. So that's what the stone looks like. And here's what the drawing on that stone looks like. Like they're reaching up to grab something dripping down, maybe? Kind of is the thinking there. I could see that. Archaeologists in Mexico discovered this mysterious indigenous settlement, which is, they think, about 1,400 years old. They were excavating in Veracruz, and they find the remains of this massive stone platform, a very unusual stela, and ritualistic offerings like charred corn were there as well. This is along Mexico's east coast and Coatepec. The region is beyond the Maya's primary ancient territory on the Yucatan Peninsula during its classical period. Researchers say the newly discovered artifacts are reminiscent of Maya culture, though. It's a unique, unprecedented finding, according to local archaeologists there in Mexico. This was found near Camp Viejo, which is a group of large plazas that had ceremonial platforms. It was built about 2,000 years ago. The newly discovered platform is about 100 feet long and 40 feet wide, and it has these flagstones and gypsum-like limestone that the builders likely heated. It was decorated with lines and squarish shapes and two circular stones. A very particular structure, they say. No records so far of correlation with any other ancient sites, according to archaeologists. And near the raised platform, that's where researchers found this sculpted slab. It's 6 feet tall by 5 feet wide, so it's pretty big. It's also 10 inches thick, so it's heavy. It's called a stela, a monument carved with hieroglyphs and life-size portraits of elites. And it was placed face down. The structures were built on top of it. It might depict a ritual featuring two elaborately dressed figures. They have a bowl and they're receiving something. They think it might be a liquid. In that context, they say, the archaeologists say, it's a divine liquid. We think it would be water. And the engraving may memorialize a period of drought, perhaps. But whatever the figures are doing, the engraving itself is unique to this region. It's unusual for central Veracruz, this composition featuring two seated figures facing one another. They also found at this site burnt corn or maize, which may have been deposited as an offering to higher powers, as well as buried vessels, broken greenstone beads. They're taking it all back to the lab to take a better look at it. Now, the researchers aren't exactly sure who inhabited this site. There's the nearby territory of the Totonac people as well. They're not sure though if it's from those folks or the Maya or other ancient coastal groups. Just don't know. They say it's a reminder of Mexico's deep, diverse cultural heritage. So they'll find out. Is it water? What do you think it is? I don't know. Very interesting. Again, that's what was on this massive stone or stela. Interesting. Let me go into the chat. Why do I feel the beverage might be chocolate, says Mama. That's a good point. I'm gonna have to go back to it. It's kind of thick and gooey, maybe. Maybe Mama's got a point. I don't know. Looks to me like they're playing a card game. I think there is something dripping down from the ceiling. I don't know. I'm kind of fascinated by it, though. All right. We'll move on. Here we go. I have another story for you. And this one is about a breakthrough that could offer blind people hope that they might see again. This new research is interesting. I have a diagram of an eye. Here it is. That's what your eyeball looks like on the inside. Biomedical engineers at Duke University developing a growth factor cocktail, they say, turns stem cells into retinal cells that can break through the blood-retina barrier. When they're injected into the eyes of animal models, these specialized cells repair damaged blood vessels and restore retinal function. And the researchers at Duke are calling this a major development because vascular eye disease, including diabetic retinopathy, affects millions of Americans, and it is the #1 cause of blindness in the United States. And they think they found this major breakthrough. Again, it's this growth factor cocktail. They say it turns stem cells into retinal cells. And when they inject it into the eyes of animal models, it appears that cells get repaired, damaged blood vessels repaired, and retinal function restored. So I don't know if they have to do some type of now human testing, getting that approved, what have you, but it's very interesting research being done. Lotto of the day, the Mega Millions jackpot. It's growing and growing and growing. I'll tell you what, it's now up to 542 million. There was no grand prize winner on Tuesday. The next drawing is on Friday. If you won 542 million, the cash option works out to be about 242 million. That's pretty nice. Something else lottery related, Lotto of the day related, Mr. Positive won. I don't know who Mr. Positive is other than to say he got lucky with a last second decision. He's a man from Maryland who won $50,000 in the Powerball jackpot lottery. He told the Maryland lottery officials he was filling up out at the gas pump on June 15th when the lottery just popped into his mind. He said, as I was waiting for the tank to fill, I remembered it was Powerball night, and Powerball is the game I play the most. He initially said he talked himself out of buying a ticket at the Skysville convenience store on Sandusky Road, but at the last second, he says he parked at the convenience store, went in, and he said, I was so close to just leaving but he didn't, bought a ticket. He did buy a ticket. He scanned it a few days later and was initially unsure if he'd won. It told me, take the ticket to the lottery. I thought the machine was broken. He attempted to scan the ticket the following day at another store, and the clerk then explained the message meant he'd won a big prize. So he put the ticket in his pocket and decided to try it at another store the next day. Why? They told you it meant you had to go to the lottery. You won something big. He said, I was excited when she told me that, but I didn't fully believe it. The ticket turns out to be a $50,000 third tier winner. He said, I tried to shout, to say anything, and it just wouldn't come. And then he realized the amount of the prize. So Mr. Positive, I love that's the name he picked. He wins 50 grand. Walks away with quite the lottery prize. Does not say, by the way, what he intends to do with said prize, but that's all right. Okay, we are going now to the relaxing Waterfall Wednesday portion of our show. And we're looking at some waterfalls this time from Portugal. Off we go. These are some of the most beautiful waterfalls in Portugal. And I have the pictures all set up to show you. This is from portugalthings.com. Some of these waterfalls are absolutely breathtaking. All right, here's the first one. I'm going to take my picture down so you can get a look at this waterfall. This is Fecha de Barras, Terras do Burro, located on the Arado River. It's a spectacular waterfall, one of the most beautiful in Portugal. Many people know them as the Tahiti waterfalls in Portugal, and they call them that because of the natural beauty and the blue tones of the water. The Cascades are a long series of waterfalls of very different sizes, with small turquoise water ponds in the middle. And it is possible to swim or at least cool off in the pools, but the water is really, really chilly. This is in the heart of Peneda Gerês National Park. Hundreds of people are attracted here during summer days. It's beautiful and it's refreshing. Access to the upper part is relatively easy and done along a road, so not a big, long walk. The lower part, though, is challenging to reach. There's a small trail on the left side of the river, and it's really steep, and there's some dangerous parts. So maybe just the upper part. I don't know. The next one on the list is, get the different colors in the rocks and the beautiful pool down below. Make it a little bigger. There it is. This is Arado Waterfall, the second waterfall in the municipality of Terras do Burro. It's one of the most beautiful waterfalls in Portugal, they say, and also one of the most visited. There is a lot of space to spread out. Access is simple, right off of a roadway, off of a little bridge. You can also walk. The view from the bridge is spectacular. You can see 3 waterfalls that are quite high from this area. Ooh, the next one looks very tropical. It's called Pitoes das Junias Waterfall in Montalegre. And this waterfall is breathtaking. Look at that. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but if I zoom in, look at the pool. See the pool under the first one? And then there's a pool down below as well. I have to zoom out so you can kind of get the whole picture. It's gorgeous. This waterfall is one of the highest in the country. It is able to be seen and appreciated from afar. Though there are beautiful pools, they are not for swimming. Access to the viewpoint is via walkways with stairs. It's easy, and there are lots of signs telling you where to go. The waterfall is about 30 meters high, and when the water level is high, it's very impressive. In the summer months, just a trickle of water comes down, and that's okay. Access to the waterfall not super easy at the upper or lower level of the river. The path is dangerous, um, in some areas not marked, and the path may not be so beautiful, but the waterfall sure is. There's another one, and you can see this one definitely has a walkway that makes it very accessible. There it is. This one is the Fervenca Waterfalls in Santo Tirso. They are among the least known and visited among the best waterfalls in Portugal. They're in the parish of Agua Longa, formed by the Leca River. The tallest is about 33 feet, so not super tall. It's a series of small waterfalls flowing through a narrow green valley, creating a beautiful, peaceful setting, especially in the spring or the winter. There's a hiking trail, and these waterfalls are not ideal for swimming either. The pools are not large or deep enough, but it's a nice place for a quiet walk, maybe a picnic in nature away from the crowds. This next one looks rather robust. Look at all that water. You can see people watching from the top there. It's Frecha de Miserela Aruca, considered one of the highest waterfalls in Portugal. In the Serra de Freita municipality, it's about 60 meters high. They say it's an impressive natural spectacle. The best place to see this waterfall is from the viewpoint, which is where you can appreciate its size and the surrounding landscape, but it is visible from several points on the Kaima River. Really cool. Here's a tall waterfall. Would think this was best seen by air. I don't know, but we get to see it here. Fraga de Pena. It's in Arganel, one of the most beautiful in Portugal. Next to the village of Pardeiros, in the middle of a protected landscape. This waterfall, Fraga de Pena, is 19 meters high, and it was created, they say, by a geological accident. There's a tiny lagoon at the very bottom of this waterfall where you can dive and take some beautiful pictures. The waterfall is in this valley, this tight valley, where the waters fall rapidly down the mountain. The surrounding landscape forms a micro landscape with abundant vegetation that covers the typical area of the region. Not visible from the roadway, but sure is pretty. Well, this one looks like a fun Sunday afternoon. There it is. Looks like a private, secluded little paradise right there. Cabrea Waterfall in the Sever da Vuga area, one of the most beautiful in the country because of the waterfall and because of its surroundings. It's about 25 meters high, so not super high, but a reasonable drop and beautiful. It's on the Mao River, which doesn't have really impressive flow, but does have a sufficient volume of water to create a water sheet. The surrounding area of the Cabrea waterfall is also lovely. There's dense vegetation. There's a pleasant picnic area, very popular with swimmers and picnickers. Pretty nice. The parking lot is very close to the waterfall, so it's one of the most accessible waterfalls on the list. Maybe the next one, not so much. Look at that. Just beautiful. I can almost hear the water rushing over those rocks, which kind of look like steps surrounded by greenery. Just gorgeous. All right, this one is called Kanaka Waterfall. It's near Saya. It's one of the lesser known waterfalls on the list. The Kanaka River doesn't have a very high flow through most of the year, but after a rainfall and the thawing of snow, it completely transforms and becomes much more impressive. This waterfall consists, as you can see, of several consecutive falls. None of them are extraordinarily tall. Its most impressive feature is the series of consecutive falls and the volume of water during the winter. Much less water during the summer months, but still a great place for a picnic. This next one looks like it might be hard to find. Very pretty though. Poco de Inferno in Mantegas, located in the heart of the Serra de Estrella National Park. A must-see for anyone visiting this area. Though it's one of the smaller waterfalls on the list, it's, they say, one of the most beautiful. It's a small natural lagoon formed by the Ribera de Leandres, which is a tributary of the Zazeri River. The stream descends abruptly from its source in altitude and forms a waterfall and lagoon of rare beauty. Has crystalline water, so that's why a lot of people are attracted to this place. The next one looks pretty tall. I don't know. Check that out. I'm going to back out a little bit so you can see the bottom. This one is the Poco de Broca. It's also in Saya. It's the only waterfall created by human intervention on the list. About 200 years ago, this stream was diverted to facilitate the cultivation of agricultural land in this area, and drills were used to divert the stream from its original course. And that created a considerable waterfall and a lagoon on the lower part. None of the drilling now is noticeable in the landscape, yet it's one of Portugal's most beautiful waterfalls and lagoons, near the village of Barossa, Vide, and Saya, and also pretty easily accessible. Here's the next one on the list. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Look at those people up top there, just hanging out. This is Agua de Alta in Oleiros, formed by the Agua de Alta stream. It has several levels and an accumulated difference of about 50 meters. Best way to see this one is from above the waterfall. But there are walkways that will take you to the lower part of the cascade as well. The surrounding beauty makes this waterfall one of the most beautiful in mainland Portugal. There are walkways and hikes that will allow you to explore the beauty of this area. Here's one that they show us from up above. Look at this one. You can see the little waterfall down below there. There it is. I see you. I see you, little waterfall. Looks like a beautiful place maybe for a swim. Really nice and refreshing with just a little waterfall trickle there. This one is called the, hold on, Pulo de Lobo Murtola. They say it's one of the most emblematic waterfalls in Portugal, and probably one with the most significant volume of water as well, which is interesting because it looks like it has just a little trickle. Although, perhaps, there's more to the story. Maybe I'm just seeing it from too far away. I don't know. The main interest of Pulo de Lobo is the curiosity of seeing a river like the Guadiana funnel so sharply until it's only a few meters wide. The river gets so narrow that it almost seems possible to jump from one bank to another. Easy to access. Here's one. Oh, I think you're going to like this next one. It might be your favorite one on the list. Look at that one. This one is called the Queda de Vigoro, this beautiful waterfall in the Algarve. So pretty. And those are the 14 best waterfalls in Portugal. And that, my friends, is Waterfall Wednesday. Hopefully it was relaxing. Hopefully you took a break from voting to appreciate the waterfalls and relax your mind a little bit. That's the point of Waterfall Wednesday. I don't know. Hopefully it works. It works for me sometimes. Hopefully it works for you too. Tomorrow, David Katz will be on the Mark Thompson show. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait to hear his takes on all the Supreme Court rulings. Trivia Thursday tomorrow. Glenn will be on the show with his drone. All the good things are happening tomorrow here on the After Party Live and on the Mark Thompson show as well. I did see this come through from Glenn with a couple of Australian dollars. Keep voting for Burby Island tomorrow. Kim and I. Oh, thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that. Harry says, don't forget to vote for Kim. Thank you, Harry. You guys are so kind. I'm telling you, whatever it is, however this ends up, it's just been really lovely to see our whole group kind of getting behind it and working together. And I think that's so awesome. I'm really touched by that part of it all. All right, everybody, make it the very best rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you. I read that it's one of the easier places to get citizenship. That's why a lot of people gravitate there, I think. Bribey. I'll keep saying it over and over again.
Last day of voting. Thank you, Eileen. Thanks, Rev. Thanks, everyone. Thank you to Wes for the contribution via PayPal today. Thank you to Linda G. Thank you to Laura W. Many thanks for the contributions, you guys. Thank you, Teacher Lori. Thanks for spearheading this. You're an awesome cheerleader and organizer.